Hey, it's Mike with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's April 30th, basically the end of our week plus the end of a month, all in one day. So it's been a long week. Seems like we had a pretty good trading day today. I want to talk about a few other things real quickly before I get into talking about trades and so forth. Um, I had a gentleman. I haven't had a chance to look at it and put it together yet, but I had a gentleman send me. I guess you can. If you remember, I showed you how you could put the ES chart on your screen and trade the ES chart, but it was actually taking the trades in the MES. I guess there is a way to do that in NinjaTrader, at least in NT8 anyway. I don't know. And a trader sent me that. I just haven't had a chance to do anything with it yet, but I will try to put a post up with instructions. He basically sent me the instructions, so I'll try to do that for anybody that wants to try it to sim trade it and just see how it goes. Um, I have not done it. I'm not sure if I want to try to do it, but I think it's a pretty neat idea for those that want to look at one chart. And I mean, I know there's some of you that are looking at the ES chart and then taking your trades. And somebody did say there's a slight tick difference, but if you're using your stops and your signal bars for your ES, it shouldn't make any difference. Um, I would think that it would work out. You just have to sim trade it and try. Don't try to trade it live or anything. Just sim trade it, see how it works, and you might have to adjust it a little bit. Uh, maybe you, maybe you have to. I don't know. You'll just have to try it. But I will post it when I get a chance. I do have the email from him. I have the instructions. I just hadn't had a chance to put them up, so I will try to do that at some point. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about is the videos have been being somewhere between 40 and 50 minutes lately. So that takes me almost an hour to do this video. Then it takes another hour at least to process the video and upload it and to get it out there to you guys. And it's just I mean, it's almost 2 hours of my day. So I'm going to try to shorten these things. I'm going to try to keep them to between 20 and 30 minutes at tops. So I'd like to keep them down to 20 minutes. So what I may start doing is just showing one or two chart trades that look interesting that maybe I get the same question a couple of times and then maybe talk about the trades. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards, because I've gotten a lot of comments that people like me showing other traders charts, showing the mistakes and explaining them, because it does tend to help you with your own mistakes. And a lot of these trades sometimes have been made by more than one of you in the very same spot, especially some of these really sticky ones like I think I showed one yesterday where several people had gotten tripped up at the same place. So I'll try to do that, but I'm going to try to shorten these things to 20 or 30 minutes just because then hopefully it only takes me an hour to do the video every day. But between my own trading, trying to read all the emails, trying to do the video every day, it's just really turned into long days. And I don't mind doing long days occasionally, but I don't want to do them every day, unfortunately. So uh, I'm enjoying this as much as y'all probably are. I get as much out of this as y'all do, but I've got to think about my own free time some too. Um, so hopefully y'all understand. I'm sure y'all do. Most of you do. Most of you send me notes and stuff telling me how much you appreciate me, and I appreciate that. And I don't need that, but I appreciate you doing it. It's always good to get positive feedback, and there'll always be some knucklehead that doesn't see the value or doesn't appreciate it, and that's okay. If there's plenty of other YouTube channels out there with trades and stuff about trading and so forth. If they find more value there, that's where you need to be. So I'll never hold anybody back. But anyway, I don't want to waste a bunch of time on that. So let's get into the next thing I want to talk about. One other thing I wanted to say that I'm working on too. One of our other members here actually put together a PDF that really lists every one of the non-members articles on the website, and he put it into a PDF and the page number, and all you do is click the link and it takes you right to the article. I mean, it's a thing of beauty. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I'm going to try to figure out how to put that on the website and post it up. I'll probably start adding it in the file with a manual, so you'll have it if you buy the manual or whatever, because it would be really helpful for people that at least have the manual. And I'll try to get it some way so everybody can download it. Don't ask me for it yet, please, so because I don't want to send out 100 emails sending it to everybody. I'll try to find a way to get it on the website where you can download it. And for short term, it'll probably only be for the members. I won't let them all get it first, and I'll probably just open it up to anybody because they're the free articles anyway. I just got to find a way to keep from overloading myself and the website and getting it out to everybody. I want to get it to our members first because they deserve it first. So I'll get it out to them first. But you'll see it posted to the site, and eventually I'll make it available for anybody, and I'll get that done too as soon as I can. So no promises on exactly when I'll get it done, but over the next day or two, hopefully. But again, just to explain that, what it is, it's just a PDF that has all the articles in it, and it has an index at the beginning, and you can see all the articles, and he categorized them by category. So that's basically the way I would have wanted to do it too. So it's a really neat PDF, and it'll be really helpful to help organize it. And when you're studying ranges, you can go find all the range articles. If you're studying second entries, you can go find all the second entry articles. And hopefully maybe we can get the paid stuff done like that too at some point. So, but it's a start. So anyway, this next part is really interesting, and I think it's really important. And I'm going to add some of my own thoughts to this and some of my own ideas to this. But I got an email from a trader, and you've already heard me say this before and talk about it, but I got an email from a trader, and it's just so interesting because I'm going to read you his email. I'll just read you his email first, and then I'll take you where we're going with this. It goes, "Hey Mac, I bought your manual just under a month ago." Get that, just under a month ago. So make sure you grasp that right out of the gate. And I've had no previous experience day trading. So this guy has never day traded before. I've only learned from your manual and premium section. I transcribe everything you teach into notes and study everything thoroughly. Without prior experience, I'm currently running the simulator, and for the whole 2 weeks of starting the simulator, I'm at 68% win rate, and no days have I been in the red. I started my simulator with live data with $2,000, and I've tripled that amount in 3 to 4 trades a day. 2 contract scalp with 1 runner, or a single contract scalps. It is shocking how well this works. However, I need your opinion on when should I begin trading with real money. I'm a beginner, and there are some things I need to work on still, but I truly grasp what you're teaching. This is probably due to the fact that I don't have any previous notions of how to trade. So by starting with a clean slate, I only apply what is most effective to my trading. Please give me your opinion on when to start trading live. And the first thing I'll say is I'm pretty sure I know I already replied back to this gentleman, and I think I told him to start your sim account with 5 or 10,000. I would do 10,000, and when you can double that or triple it, trading properly, you're probably ready to at least start live in the MES. Trade the MES with 3 contracts and keep doing what you're doing. Just dip your toes in there with real money first, because there'll be that little psychological aspect of going from the simulator to going live. But one thing I'll tell you is that by creating this goal, people always say, well, there's no skin in the game. It's easy to do the simulator. But if you set a goal that you can't go live until you double that sim account, it does put some pressure on you. And that's what I used when I first started, and it worked for me. It put that pressure on me, and I can remember getting close to 5,000, then screwing up and and then being back and having to start make another $1,000 again. And so I'd have to start doing the right thing again, slowly build up. And so if you can, it really does put some pressure on you. So I think it's a good step towards having a goal to trade to rather than just blindly trading every day. So try that, and then And then when you can double or triple that $10,000 account, go to the MES and maybe trade triples and do a scalp and run. If it's on a range day, if you're in a range that's real tight like this, just scalp. Don't try to get runners unless there's a failed breakout. Then you can try for runners. Otherwise, just scalp. Scalp off the low, buy off the lows, sell off the highs. This was a big, strong downtrend, so you're only going to really see shorts on my chart for the most part there. But going back to this, the point I wanted to make is he's having that much success, but and he doesn't know anything about trading. But that's the beauty of it, in my opinion, is that he has a clean slate. He's not bringing all these other trading ideas in with him and trying to, because what really happens is a lot of people have been trading for years and they've got all these different things they've learned and picked up, and so now they're going to come try this for a little bit. But most of them are going to try to take what they've already learned and apply some of the best parts of what we do and try to fix what's already not working. And you're going to fail if you try to do that. What you need to do is just forget everything you've learned previously, concentrate on what we're teaching here, and try to do this. Forget the other. You've already proven the other doesn't work, or you wouldn't be here. And most of the stuff you're going to read, most of the stuff you're going to study is wrong. This chart speaks a language, and you've got to learn this language. Assume this chart's, if you're an English speaker and you've never spoken Russian, you're trying to learn Russian. That's why it's hard, because you're trying to learn what this chart is telling you. And it's difficult because it's just like learning a non-native language. You're trying to learn what it's telling you. And it takes time. And you've also got to learn the culture of trading and this market. And so not only do you have to be able to speak it fluently, you got to be able to, you got to understand the culture. So if you went to Russia tomorrow and you went to a room of Russian people and you're trying to do a business with them, if you can't speak the language fluently, the first thing's probably going to happen is you're going to get taken advantage of. And that's exactly what's going to happen to you trading. If you come in here and you don't speak this language fluently of the chart, you're going to get taken advantage of by traders that do. And then let's say that you can learn to speak the language a little bit, then you really need to understand their culture too, because you might say something that's just an everyday saying to you that means something totally different in their culture. You might make a gesture that makes common sense to you from where you're from, but in their culture it offends them, and so they're going to immediately stop doing business with you. And trading is just like that. You got to understand the culture. Things that are common sense do not work in trading. So that's the best analogy I know to use to tell you what you're trying to do. You're trying to read this chart. Prices will tell you everything you need to know. They'll tell you where they're probably headed. They'll tell you when they get there, you'll know where they're going next. And if you just look, where do prices go? They go from support and resistance back and forth. Then we're going between this flat support and resistance back and forth. And then we got this secondary channel. This one's too steep, but this one's more of a 45-degree angle. Then we're working on this channel. It's just going back and forth. And then we end up working in this one back and forth. And then the next day, I don't know what's happened this evening. Yesterday, it was just as crazy the other direction. I guess they decided that whatever news that made it real happy yesterday made them real sad today. So there's no rhyme or reason why prices do what they do fundamentally. So don't listen to the news. I can throw that in there real quick. All you want to do is look and see what prices are telling you. And early this morning, at just before 8, just right around 8:30 or so, you could have drawn that line and moved it over here, and you'd have had a good idea that prices were going to trade down to here at some point. And you can see we're almost there. You know, most of the times by the end of the day, before the trading day's over, you've got a perfect measured move right to that point. I show that over and over. So you have to learn to be able to do this, though. It's a language. And this chart is speaking a language. So that leads me into the next piece here. I traded a couple of emails with another trader, and he he's just really struggling to figure out what prices are doing. By the time he finally figures out prices are headed up here, he tries to get long and then it turns down, and then he starts watching here, and by the time he figures out he needs to be going short, then it's going up again, and he's really struggling. And the problem is you got to identify the moves. You got to know it. You got to identify this move early to get a piece of it, and then you got to identify this one. But the thing he's probably missing here is that your bigger channel's working down. You just came off the lows, so where are you going? Where are prices going when they come off this? You got to look at the bigger picture. Figure out what the big picture's telling you. Well, if you could back out of here, you would see this strong downtrend on this two-tiered channel working lower. So I know that prices are just headed lower in this channel. And so what do? They come off the upper trend. They come off the trend line here and they go down to the trend channel line. They finally find a bottom, and where do they go? They go back to the trend line. They get back to the trend line, then where are they going? They're going back down to the other side. Now we did have a break here, and we're trying to make a new low, but just draw your shorter term trend lines in here. That way you know when they're over. So you got this one working up. You finally get a close, move to a new high. You got this one working down. You actually get an overshoot on this one first. And that gives you a clue. That means, hey, we're probably going to get a break pretty soon. And guess what? You get a break a few bars later. And what happens when you get a break? You expect it to go test the lows. And you're expecting prices from here to go test these lows. I think they ended up testing the lows. We just had another measured leg up similar to that, I believe is what happened that day. I'm not sure. But we probably, if this was the first break, we probably retested this low at some point. I'm just guessing some of this here, but I know this is the bigger picture, and I know we're going back and forth. So I know basically where prices are going ahead of time. And we can do the measured moves. And I believe, if I remember right, we had a measured move down to this point here. And I think it was to right in here. And then we went one tick lower, and then next thing you know, we're reversing out of here. But you still got this trend line in play. You get a break, and prices are going to try to test these lows. Could they go higher? They could just go higher from here. But guess what? I drew my trend line off the first two swings. And then we come back and get a confirmation right here. There's a failed second entry long, a big bearish bar. I'm going to go short there. And then we're still paying attention to the trend line. There's another big move down right there, but that's not a very good setup because you're going short out of a little congestion. But it makes a new low. Then it goes first entry, and you get that break that you were expecting because it overshot here. And you get a nice bearish bar on the second entry short. That's textbook, because what are we expecting prices to do when they break the trend line? Make a two-legged correction and then head down to test the lows. And they actually made a new low in two swings down. Perfect price action. So now we might reverse. Sure enough, it reverses. Then you get a trend going up, swing back, and another trend going up. So you draw this trend line. You never really get a good setup here going up, so you do nothing. You really don't get a setup. I mean, but I don't know any easier way to explain it than that. You have to look at the big picture and know where prices are going. And do they always go exactly where we think? No, but we're trading what we see. And I guess his comment was, well, I was expecting it to just reverse on out of there and make another leg up. And how do you know it's not going to do that? Because the price action, the trend line's working down, and the big trend line's working down. And so I expect this to play out first. It might turn right here and fail and then go up. If that happens, you got a reversal pattern and just jump on and go along with it. A newer trader probably wouldn't want to do that because they're not skilled enough. But if you can't get the basics of drawing the trend lines and getting a break in a new extreme, drawing the trend line, getting a break in a new extreme, and I guarantee you can draw that one up, and you probably got a break here in a new extreme. And I think we just went it sideways here, kind of like we did today. So, I mean, that's just the very you have to learn to trust this stuff. And the only way you do that is through experience and sim trading it every day and learning it. I mean, you can't pick up this manual, read it, and practice trade for a couple of weeks and get this, because you're learning a language. It's just as hard as if you were learning Russian or Spanish, if you can't speak Spanish, or any other language, French, Mandarin, any of them. It's not easy. Some people can learn them easier than others, but it's just amazing how the guy walked in here in 30 days or 2 weeks. What I can't remember what his email said. 30 days ago, a month ago, and he's already, close to 68% win rate, no days in the red in 30 days. But some people make it too hard, and some people try to base this off of what they learned before, and we talked about that earlier. Forget everything you learned before. And I'm not saying that's what everybody's doing, and I'm not just talking to the gentleman that sent me this chart, so please don't think I'm just talking to you. I'm talking to everybody, because you're not the only one having this problem, and you're not the only one that will have this problem. There'll be people that watch this video until YouTube is gone, or they take my videos off, or I take them off, or whatever. Until that happens, these videos will be there. It might be 10 years from now people will be watching. The very first videos I put on there 10 years ago are still there. So somebody still watches some of those videos even today, and somebody will still watch this one 10 years from now, and this will still work exactly the same, and I'm talking to them too. So don't think I'm picking on anybody or anything like that. So that's not the reason. I'm doing this to help you and to help the other people too. So this is just basically constructive criticism. So I hope it comes across that way. Okay, here's another one I wanted to show this trader because he asked me about it. He's trading a failed second entry long here. Notice we're working down. You get a first entry, you pull back, and you got a second entry here. And the way he traded this was it broke higher and failed and turned down, and he went short right underneath here, which that's okay. You can do that. But the problem is, because this broke higher, this is the high of your swing, and you don't know where this high is going to be until this bar completes. So I guess he left his stop one tick above this bar. It broke higher and turned down, and I guess he had his stop right in here on this bar. And actually this next one comes back up to the same height, and he got stopped out even though he was right. He read it right, and he still got stopped out. So if you take a trade like that, you can't put your stop above the high of this swing until you know where that high is. So if this bar is still printing, wait till it closes and then put your stop one tick ahead above it. So where does your stop go in the meantime? Either stick to the 8 tick rule, just have it at basic 8 ticks above here, or really where it needs to go is one tick above the last swing, which would be here. So I would probably start with my stop here and let this bar finish, and then if it finishes here, it goes one tick above it. If it finishes equal to this, well, it couldn't finish equal to that one, but if it finishes wherever it finishes, your stop goes one tick above it. If he does that, he has a quick, easy trade here. But he read it right, and because what it did was prices broke up here first, and then turned and went out the other side and failed. But somewhere in there, it traded back up here. You can see it closed back above here. So it may have traded back and forth a few times, but you can't put your stop. You don't know where to put your stop yet until this bar completes. So that's where he made his mistake. So you can read it right and still make a mistake. I mean, I've done it myself before. Not get your stop out of the way in time, not put it in the right place, not paying attention. I mean, that happens, but you got to be zoned in, and you got to say, okay, if I take this trade, I'm going to just leave my stop at the full 8 ticks until this bar completes, just in case I don't want to lose more than 8 ticks, but really the ideal place is here. But then you got a big trade, and you probably want to add the difference of so if you put it up here and it takes 12 ticks, well, that's 4 ticks more than our normal 8 tick maximum. So add 4 to your target. He could have got that easy. Could have got 4 points there probably from the looks of it. But anyway, I hope that's helpful to that trader. Okay, I had a few more emails I want to read. I'll save them, or not emails, but a few more charts I wanted to show, but I'll save those for tomorrow. And I'm just going to run through the trades real quick and try to wrap this up. But we had a two-tiered channel working down. We had a break. We moved to a new low, and it basically reversed. That's perfect price action. But guess what? Along the way, we had a little bit of a range. Then we had another two-tiered channel working down, and then we had a two-tiered channel working up. So you got all this going on. But if you go back, forget everything I've drawn on here from here, and just look at the two-tiered channel working down. You get the break. Sometimes you don't, sometimes it goes straight for the retest, sometimes it corrects a while, but you got the break and it took a little while to work down, but guess what? It works down, makes a new low, and then it reverses. Perfect price action. But while this is working down, it goes sideways for a little bit, then you end up in this channel, and then when it turns up, it's got another channel. So all that's going on, and if you get down inside that, there's other little channels, and you got to draw these things, and they help you figure out what prices are doing. It's talking to you. It's talking Russian to you. You got to learn this Russian. And I mean, I could be picking French or Spanish or whatever. So I hope that doesn't offend anybody that I call it Russian, or I called it Chinese language for a while, but there's about 4 or 5 dialects, I think, of Chinese, so that one's too hard. So I decided Russian's probably better because that's a hard language that not everybody speaks. So for any of you Russian guys or gals out there that are listening, I wish I could speak your language. Maybe one day I might try. I think that would be an interesting language to speak. But anyway, let's talk about the trades real quick so I can wrap this up. 7 o'clock, you had to be patient this morning. 7 o'clock came way back over here. There's a second entry right here. My chart's not very good, but notice you got a first entry, and then I don't know which way this thing broke. Either way, to be honest, I think it broke lower and then turned and went back up. So if you'd have gone short right there, you might have got stopped out, all in the same bar. But this was one you'd probably, at this point, this was looking more like an overshoot. If you back up, let me back up a little bit. Notice we were kind of in here, and it looked like maybe we're overshooting, but at some point you have to say, hey, we may have this may not be an overshoot, we may be going lower. But right in here, and you can tell that's what a lot of people are undecided. You can tell that's indecision right there. It just kind of goes sideways before finally it sells off. So there's a little trap here. If you had a good signal bar, I wouldn't be afraid to maybe go short there. By the time this one sets up, though, you got 3 inside bars and there's a lot of indecision. So I just think you're better off not to do anything right there. And you're getting too far away from the EMA here. There's a lower high, not a very good signal bar. So now you've got another lower high, but look how far away you're getting from the EMA. The further and longer you stay away from that EMA, the more suspect every move lower is, until finally, of course, we're probably headed down here. So if you did get a little second entry in here somewhere, you might take it. But we never get anything. And that's an okay signal bar. It's not great. I couldn't take that one. I could have taken this one. And you might even look at that as a failed second entry, because this is almost a double top, and these are like 2 measured legs. So that one's a very distinct possibility. It is right off the key entry point, but it's just, you're getting so far away from that EMA. I don't like those trades, because eventually the more you go, the more likely. But in this case right here, you had to assume we're probably headed down here, because this trend line's still in play. And so just get an equal distance and put your line over here and say, hey, maybe this is a midline. And that's what it turns out to be. And notice we bounce, but you don't want to be, I'll see people try to buy these. This trend is too strong, way too strong. I mean, it's steep. Look how steep that is. And we can't even notice how we're around this midline, and we can't even get back to the trend line. That's a strong downtrend. So you're only thinking shorts here, and then you get another second entry short right here. But again, I don't get a very good signal bar. That's the reason I drew that there, just so I wouldn't forget about it. But notice that low, first entry, second entry. I'd taken that trade just to ride it back to the EMA and to pull back and see if it's going to test that midline again. But this thing just takes off again. We get another lower high. Again, I don't get a very good signal bar. I get a very bullish signal bar, so I got to skip that trade. And then this is a repeat pattern, pretty much like this one over here. This line right here, you can ignore it. This came from later on. Just move that out of the way. We still got room down to these lows. So I like that one. It's a repeat pattern. It's a failed second entry. It's really, prices are trying to come back and test that midline, but they can't get through this trend line. So I like that one. Like I said, it's just a little repeat pattern of that one. You got two measured legs, and off it goes. And see, notice we didn't get there this time. That's telling you something. Maybe the downtrend's waning a little bit now. And then first entry, second entry. I went ahead and I like that one just because it's two legs back to the EMA, fairly bearish bar. Prices may not go make a new low here. They're probably going to try, because that's the expectation. You don't, and you didn't get there yet either. So does that mean that the prices are losing steam to the downside, or does that mean we just hadn't got there yet and we're going to get there here? So you still would probably want to take that trade. It's a second entry short right at the midline, right at the EMA. When it's the first break of that trend line, you want to go short. Guess what? It doesn't make a new low and it starts working up. So draw your trend line. But I wouldn't take any longs yet. And the fact that we came up short, we're going to probably overshoot up here. And sure enough, we overshoot. And we're still working higher. There's just not really a good long in here. This is a reversal pattern. You might take it, but it's right into that trend line. It could just kind of work sideways here. It's a little bit congestive. It could touch and turn. So that's not worth risking. This is a strong downtrend. Stay with a downtrend until you get more proof that something else is happening. But notice there's a failed second entry short. It is confirmed the trend line, but you don't have much room there. Same thing here. You got a lot of resistance. You got another, notice that's a new swing low. So it's basically a repeat pattern. So you might take that one when you didn't take this one, but now you're starting to get away from the EMA. But because it was a repeat pattern, maybe you take that one. And then you run up here and you finally get your break. And what happens? It tries to run up to a new high. There's actually a little, notice you run up. You don't quite make a new high. So this is a first entry, second entry, third entry, fourth entry. Somebody wrote to me and said, hey, there's a second entry long right there. But it's right into that resistance. Look how congestive it is. It's not a very good setup. It's not a second entry either. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4. It is two legs back to the EMA. That you can, it's pretty obvious, but it's just going sideways and you got that resistance. And you see it went right to it and turned down. So don't take that trade. The better trade is to wait till it comes up here and test it again. And now you got a first entry, second entry short. That's the better trade. And so now you're entering in the right direction, because this is a lot of resistance up here. You can see we tested it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Went on to test it 7, 8 more, 8 times before it finally went lower. And then you're still ranging here, but you still want to draw your trend line just in case. And you see what happens here. Then you come down here, you push down. It looked like the range was here, but then when we pushed on through here a few times, you had to figure, hey, maybe it's down here, maybe this is a midline. This is where you got to get real careful here, trading in the middle. There was a second entry, so I marked it. Nice bullish bar, but notice that low. First entry tried to go higher. and that's about as bearish as you can get, and we've tested that trend line multiple times, so you'll probably get a scalp out of it. This is one though, you might skip it, but if you see the big picture, this is a big bearish day, so if you get a good short chance, I mean, this is not a range day, so even though you're kind of going sideways here, and this is congestive, this is not a range day. So, and notice we're making lower lows and lower highs each time. So you'll probably make a lower low here. Then notice what it does though. It still bounces. And then you make a lower high. It pushes out, you get a failed breakout. This actually broke higher and turned down. Just go short right there. But again, your stop has to go up here, or just leave it 8 ticks and then back it down to 1 tick above that. And this is the trade. The failed breakouts are usually the best ones, especially if it fails counter trend when the big picture trend was down real strong and we're still looking for a retest of the low. Look at that thing go. That was a nice trade. Of course, it finds that support again. It takes it a long time to work its way back up. You might have taken a long in here until you get through that EMA though, or you got room back to it with a range like this. Don't go long into that. That was another question. If it's a strong trend and you get a little push through that, you're not as worried about it. But if it's a range day and or if it's a reversal and you're coming from the other, you had a big move down here, you're coming for it, you need to be aware of that EMA, because see how it acts as resistance. It takes it a little while to push through. And then we get back up here. We test that high. We get a lower high here, but you're just going sideways. But then you get a third attempt to go up. So that's a double test of that. Test it that many times and failing, we're going lower. And off it goes. There's a lower high here. I didn't like that one because the lower side of the trend, you don't have much room there. And you're just kind of working around that EMA, and you kind of worked around it there too. So, or not EMA, midline. So I didn't like that. That's one that, you might look at it, but it's a little more risky. Just wait on something better. And then finally, you get a first entry, second entry, and you're under the EMA. Technically, notice this, there's a first entry and then a little second entry right there. So technically that's a second entry, but you can see that there's a leg up, a little two-legged correction, and another measured leg up. That's a two-legged correction. And this is an inside bar, but there's equal highs, bearish bar. You haven't made a new low yet, and that turns out to be one of the best trades of the latter part of the morning. And then we run down, and now you get your first break, and notice that you tested that line once, twice, 3 times. So you got a double test of that price level and a big bearish bar. It actually broke higher and then turned down, so you could have considered that again, put your stop above the last one, or just leave it 8 ticks. But you may just wait on that one and go short right there. Off it goes. And just look for another leg down like that one right there. And we basically got a perfect measured move down. And then we bounced off the low. We got a little overshoot there. We bounced off the lows. Let me fix this. And you get another little second entry short right there. I'm not crazy about it, but you can see you traded up, down, up, and then there's a second entry short right there. It's a little hidden one, but you may take that trade. I parked it green. I'm not crazy about it. You did have a little room there, but I'm not crazy about it. And then it bounces, and we're coming off the lows. So at some point when we start going higher, where are prices going? Where were they going from up here? Back down to here. But now that they've gotten down here, when they start trending the other way, where are they going? First target's going to be here. And then where's the next target? The trend line. So if you get a good setup to the upside, you might take it as long as you're not going long into this or long into the midline or long right into the trend channel. I see people entering trades like up here. There's no reason to ever enter some trades. That was one of the charts I wanted to show. But anyway, you do get a little two-legged pullback. There's a hit. Notice it's working down, bounces, and then your second leg down. So that's the second entry long on a little smaller basis. Might even seen that second entry on some charts, but not a very good signal bar either. But if you'd have got a second entry long right there, you might take that trade because now you got an overshoot, so you may get a break. You get a break, but where are prices going? They're going up here. Yeah, they could turn and keep going down, but you're expecting them to come up here. So if you got a setup there, you might take it. And what happens, we come straight up here and you get a big bearish bar right off the main trend line to the tick almost. It pushed through maybe a tick. Just go way away from the EMA. Normally I'd tell you to wait on the second entry, but being that far away from the EMA after the break here, we're coming back to the EMA most likely. I'm taking that trade. And then you get a lower high right here. It broke higher and turned down. Again, if you want to let it break higher and turn down, your stop would have to actually go way up here or just leave it at 8 ticks. And then move it 1 tick below this once it starts lower. And then you get a little failed second entry long right here and another second entry short. Notice that low, first entry, it goes higher again, and then second entry short and another big bear. This actually broke higher, but didn't run out the other side, so just go short right there. Off it goes. Failed second entry and a second entry short too. After the first, and that's the first break of that trend line. So where are prices probably going to test that low right there? They end up running all the way down. We're still in this trend line, so you expect it to probably go all the way to this midline. And of course, it comes down here and it kind of chops around, but then it breaks out the bottom, fails, and tests that, gets that line. That's when you would have drawn that trend line. You really wouldn't have had that trend line yet. You'd have just still been playing this downtrend and playing this trend. But you got your break, a few legs down, you get a little failed break. If you had a bullish bar there, I wouldn't be scared to go long right there just to ride that back, and look what ends up happening. It runs up here, and guess what? Right back at the main trend line. Look at that trend line working up. You get a close outside, it moves up, but guess what? You got a new low, first entry, second entry at the key entry point where it keeps turning every time. Bearish bar, plenty of room back to the EMA. It actually went higher, turns down. Just go short right there. Could it bounce and go higher? Yeah, it did, but you still got your scalp. And you even had a lower high. You could have taken that too, most likely. You're getting a little, you're a little bit, notice how we're starting to swing back and forth above and below the EMA here. That's because we're really kind of reversing, but that's a lot of sideways stuff, so I'd be a little afraid of that one. And I wouldn't trade a failure here back long into the trend line because it could touch right there and turn down. So, but it does, instead it runs up here, gets your first break of this trend line. So where are prices going to go from there? They're going to try to make a new low. Look at that big bearish bar. Look how far it is back to the EMA. Just go short right there. And where does it go? Right back to that trend line again. And you never get, everything else right here is right into that EMA. There's not much room there. You're just kind of going sideways. And that takes you in the 2 o'clock hour. And once again, I'm at 44 minutes, so I'm not getting any better here, just shortening this thing up. So, but I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to wrap it up. Probably nothing. I may do a chart lesson tomorrow. It just depends on the weather, if I'm feeling. But generally, I try to take Fridays off, and I may need it this Friday. But we'll see. I'm going to wrap it up for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.